Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's practically a superpower, the science of early rising. And look, we're not just talking about those generic, dime-a-dozen productivity hacks here. We're going to look closely at the hard data to understand exactly what happens in your brain and body when you align your wake time with the sun. It's all about how you can actually harness your own biology to completely transform your daily routine. Let's get into it.
You know, for thousands of years across virtually every culture, the early morning has been treated as a sort of sacred time. Aristotle actually hit the nail on the head when he said waking before daybreak contributes to health, wealth, and wisdom. And what's wild is that what was once considered just, philosophical musings is now being rigorously mapped out by modern neuroscientists and cardiologists. The data proving him right is absolutely astounding. We're literally seeing ancient habits validated by hard empirical evidence.
To put that into perspective, consider a massive landmark study published in JAMA Psychiatry. They looked at 840,000 people, and researchers found that shifting your sleep schedule just 1 hour earlier can reduce your risk of depression by a staggering 23%. Just think about that for a second. 1 single hour. And they noted that with each additional hour earlier you wake up, those mental health benefits strictly compound. It's just an incredible testament to how powerfully our sleep timing dictates our psychological well-being.
So, to unpack the science behind all this, here is our agenda. First, we'll look at the master biological clock. Then, the brain and body benefits. Third, the night owl nuance. Fourth, productivity and proactivity. And finally, we'll wrap up with a highly practical transition blueprint.
Starting off with Section 1, the master biological clock. Understanding the foundations of sleep and wakefulness.
To really grasp this, we have to zoom way in, right down to the microscopic level inside your brain. There's a tiny region in the hypothalamus that acts as the master clock, governing your entire body. And this system operates on what's called a two-process model. On one side, you've got homeostatic sleep pressure. That's a chemical buildup of adenosine that literally makes you sleepier the longer you're awake. On the other side is your circadian drive. That operates entirely independently, actively pushing for wakefulness during the day. When you practice early rising consistently, it brings these two vital competing systems into perfect biological alignment.
The real magic, though, happens hormonally, the exact second you open your eyes. You experience the cortisol awakening response, which triggers a 50 to 100% cortisol surge. Now hold on, I know people hear the word cortisol and immediately panic, thinking of chronic stress. But when you're properly aligned with your biology, this morning surge isn't a stressor at all. Actually, scratch that. It's more like your brain's natural ignition switch. It serves as a totally crucial activator for cognitive readiness, metabolic fuel, and immune priming to get your day started right.
But look, we've all felt that initial morning grogginess, right? That horrible feeling of walking through molasses just to reach the coffee maker. Well, that phenomenon is called sleep inertia. It's the physiological transition period between sleep and full wakefulness, and it can actually linger for up to 4 hours, subtly impairing your memory, your reaction speed, and your alertness. Waking early gives you this quiet, low-stakes buffer to overcome that inertia. So by the time your real daily demands hit, you aren't playing catch-up. You're already operating at absolute peak neural excitability. Moving on to Section 2, brain and body benefits. How morning hours optimize physical and cognitive health.
When you step back and examine the biological rhythm of a human day, this really clear window of optimization emerges. A 2024 trial demonstrated that morning exercise, say around 6 a.m., rapidly reduces body fat and cholesterol. It does this by capitalizing on elevated morning testosterone and resting metabolic rates. And by knocking out your physical activity early, you seamlessly transition right into the 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. window. Guys, this is the golden zone. It's exactly when your brain's working memory, executive function, and creative problem solving are biologically primed and fully optimized for deep work.
Next up, Section 3, the night owl nuance, destigmatizing chronotypes and managing health risks. Now, it's incredibly important that we neutrally explore the biology of chronotypes, because being a night owl is not a character flaw. It's not a sign of laziness. It is a very real biological reality. Your chronotype is heavily influenced by specific clock genes that you inherit. In fact, a 2025 McGill University study discovered that chronotypes actually consist of 5 distinct subtypes, all with incredibly unique behavioral profiles, meaning not all night owls face the exact same risks, and the underlying biology is highly individualized for every single person. That said, when we look at 2026 data on cardiovascular health, there are notably elevated risks for evening types directly tied to circadian misalignment.
night owls face a startling 79% higher prevalence of poor cardiovascular scores and a 16% higher risk of a heart attack or stroke. But, and this is a huge but, researchers emphasize this risk is largely mediated by modifiable lifestyle behaviors. So, if an evening type maintains a healthy diet, gets adequate sleep, and doesn't smoke, that risk narrows significantly. The true danger really lies in the physical stress caused by the misalignment between their internal clock and the strict 9-to-5 demands of modern society.
Which brings us to a vital counterpoint from Shark Tank's Lori Grainer. She notes that waking up early doesn't magically give you more time. It simply shifts your schedule. This is absolutely the golden rule. Forcing an early wake-up without securing adequate sleep first just causes sleep deprivation, period. And that completely negates every single health and cognitive benefit we've discussed today. Quality sleep combined with early rising is the winning formula. Borrowing from your sleep bank to wake up early? That's just a fast track to severe burnout.
Section 4. Productivity and proactivity. Why high achievers fiercely protect the morning hours.
So when your total sleep time is protected, rising early creates this rare, distraction-free environment that builds a powerful mindset of proactive agency. A recent 2023 study found that anchoring your habits to a structured morning routine measurably boosts overall productivity by 25% while simultaneously slashing stress by 20%. Instead of starting your day in a reactive scramble, where you wake up and instantly start putting out fires and answering urgent emails, you start with intentional planning. You are dictating the terms of your day before the rest of the world is even awake to interrupt you.
Finally, Section 5, the Transition Blueprint, a science-backed step-by-step guide to shifting your wake time. If you're ready to make this shift, you need an actionable biological formula so you don't completely shock your system. The most vital rule here is gradual adaptation. You should aim to shift your routine by just 15 minutes a day. Going cold turkey almost always ends in failure. Next, you want to immediately get bright sunlight exposure upon waking. This directly suppresses melatonin and physically resets your internal master clock. And finally, perfectly align your meal and exercise timing to your new schedule. Food and movement are incredibly powerful time givers that signal to your peripheral organs that yes, it is officially time to be awake.
But a successful early morning actually begins the night before with a rigorous wind-down routine. You need to progressively dim your household lights and avoid screens 2 hours before bed so your natural melatonin can finally rise. You'll also want to cut off your caffeine before 2 p.m. and eat your final meal earlier in the evening. And critically, and I can't stress this enough, you must maintain strict weekend consistency to avoid social jet lag. Sleeping in on a Saturday feels amazing in the moment, for sure, but it completely undoes all the hard physiological work you put into regulating your master clock during the week.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a simple, provocative question. Is your alarm clock currently fighting your biology? Take a step back and really ask yourself how you will adapt this science to reclaim your own morning hours. Ensure your daily schedule is intentionally working for your biology rather than against it, so you can step into every single day with absolute clarity, preparation, and intent. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this knowledge empowers you to completely transform your mornings.